Today in CNN News, Cristina Escallón and Emiliana Pacheco talking about communication.
Hi, Emiliana.
Hi, Cristina.
Communication. Now, that's a very important thing in our lives. It's the essence of why we do and why we say things. Even people that can't talk, they even try to find a way to communicate, which would be sign language. It's such an important thing.
Communication has evolved so much throughout the years, like with technology. A lot of years ago, they talked with hieroglyphics. Nowadays, we talk with technology, with computers, with phones, with iPads. It has evolved so much, but sometimes some people think that it can be a disadvantage or an advantage, the evolution of technology, which makes communication evolve, because there's not face-to-face encounters. It's technology that runs the world.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I start to think if sometimes it's an advantage or a disadvantage. But I actually think that sometimes it could be a great disadvantage. Now we are so used to always being dependent on our phones, on cell phones, on the internet, that we forget how to talk in person, how to face real issues in person. Sometimes when we have terrible matters in front of us, we just say, okay, I'm going to use my cell phone because it's going to be easier, because the other person can't really see how you are reacting. They just read what you say. But if you actually say it in person, the other person can see your emotions, how you're feeling. So it's ridiculous that we have gotten to a point where we can't even say what we think because we are scared of being who we truly are. And behind a cell phone, we can't do that. When you're talking with someone on BBM or on Facebook, you really don't know who's the one that's behind that cell phone.
But I think it's more an advantage. Like, how can technology, the evolution of society, the evolution of humankind, can be a disadvantage? How can that type of thing be considered a disadvantage? You know, like 50 years ago, people barely had like black and white television. Nowadays, if you don't go out, you can know what happened. You can see it through the internet, through the news and the television. You can see it even from your phone and go into the internet.
Yes, well, that is a true advantage that the technology has facilitated our lives in a huge amount. If I want to talk with a friend that's all the way in Paris, I can do that by using Skype. I can see the person and I can actually talk with them. But what I think that the best thing is to try to have a balance. Because if we don't have a balance, there starts to be things that are terrible, such as things like cell phone addiction. It doesn't have an effect on your physical appearance, but it does have an effect on your psychological. You start being very irritated because you don't get a message or because your message doesn't go out right, so that is a huge problem. Also, people are always relying on their phones, that they push people that are close away, but they do bring people that are farther away back in. If you start to think about it, in a party there are almost everyone is looking at their cell phones, thinking of what's going on instead of really enjoying the moment.
But maybe they're talking to the person, maybe there's a family emergency. With your phone example, maybe that person is something really important. And like what you say, there's no more face-to-face encounters. But you can talk with your friend from Paris in Skype, and that's a face-to-face encounter. It might not be physical encounter, like we're like not meet, but we're together. Like I'm seeing you, you're seeing me. And like I think that technology and the evolution of technology is something that cannot be stopped. It's something that has to go, you know? Because it's always going to be an advantage, and I think that's what makes human kind of what we are today.
Yes, you are. I agree with your point. It is good. The technology can never be stopped. It is something that will go on forever. And evolutionizing is always good. And the way that we can communicate not only with our friends, but with coworkers, with teachers, with emails. If we need an information, we can do it right away. With the internet, it's such a great use for working. Also, there are so many things. But my point is that we have to know how to manage it, because we can't abuse its power. We can't think that having cell phones and technology is the only way. No, we have to learn how to face our problems face to face, because that is a problem that people will never learn how to interact with each other. So I think that we really have to have a balance, because technology brings great things to our lives, but it also can start to wreck them.
Well, I think I do agree with your point. It has destroyed society. People do not have the same communication, the same interactions. They don't have the same relationship with the person. Because having a social relationship and a network relationship, like an internet relationship, is not the same that having a physical relationship. Like really, like knowing that person, like the person there really is. Like for example, on Facebook, in the past year, it has like 1,000 more users. It gets like 1 million users. It evolutionized so much, and it has also become an addiction, just like the phone. It has become a social like thing that people don't know how to interact if they're not like in Facebook or in Skype or in
Facebook
BBM.
is a funny thing because now it has 800 billion users, and that could almost be up to a country. So it's a tremendous amount of how people know that they have to interact with each other, but they can't only interact virtually, they also have to interact personally. And another thing that is very shocking is that around 40% of young adults use their cell phone each day for around 6 hours. So we really have to stop that. It is enough. It is ridiculous that we are always spending time looking on our cell phones, and how much misunderstandings can come up with our cell phones, how many gossip can come up with our cell phones, that we have to learn how to balance it and how to be able to work with each other personally and virtually.
Well, I think I do agree with your points, but imagine your life without internet, like without Google. But I think, what would you rather be? Like in a generation without internet, or the generation we live right now, the generation with such a high technology?
No, I would definitely prefer to be in the generation that we are now. I know that this is a huge revolution that is coming up to us, that the technology is a great thing that has come up, that we are very lucky to live in this time. But at the same time, I just think that we should really know how to have a balance, because technology is an amazing thing that has been brought to us, but we have to know how to manage it.